Every time you have changed you feel pain, you stepped out of one relationship to another, and you feel pain you leave one neighborhood to another, and you feel pain you go from one job to another, and you feel the fire of transition. See change as growth, see change as transformation, see change as evolution, see change as necessary, see change as critical, see change as inevitable. Do something, stop being scared if you have not jumped on the bandwagon of doing exactly what you want to do, which is skiing for the next 3 years, or working at a job that's not what your parents want or what society wants. Do something, stop being scared. And so enough parents, the kid that's sitting right now at a desk and saw this in a feed, and you hate your job enough, stand up, get the out of here. And do you live your life? You got one life. And so if you're not willing to be a fool, then you'll never start anything new, and if you never start anything new, then you won't develop. And so the willingness to be a fool is the precursor to transformation, and that's the same as humility. And so if you're going to write your destiny, you can do a bad first job, you're going to get smarter as you move forward, when you can learn to do things when you don't want to, when you don't feel like it, when you're tired, when you can learn to push yourself to do them. That's when the world opens up to you, that's when success knocks at your door. There will never come a time when you can just happily coast through life. Stay governed by anxiety. It's hard to be inconsistent, it's hard not to have daily disciplines, it's hard not to believe in yourself, it's hard to be broke, it's hard to be poor, it's hard, it's all hard. So choose your heart. What I'm telling you to do is chase after that version of yourself that you know you could be. What happens when I decide for myself that I'm going to do something? Music. Different. You've got the gift of life, you have the privilege of being here. Quit playing small. You were meant to do great. Thanks. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Man, I got one question to ask you. Can you do this thing alone? I've trained 99% of my life alone. No one packed me on the back. I did all of the work alone. Wolves don't lose sleep over the opinions of a less species. Be alone. Go to that dark space. You may not want to fight that battle, but you need to. A beast is someone who can go through hell and be grateful that their legs are working. What are you? Are you a sheep, or are you a wolf? When you train alone, I can take myself to such a level of real passion in purpose. Nobody's going to feed us. You got to feed yourself. The feeling I get is something I can't expect. I don't need anyone. It's on you. You got to want it as bad as you want to breathe. Success starts with you. It's all on you. If you want to be strong, you got to learn to fight alone. Yes, you're tired. Yes, your mind is saying give up. Yes, it's saying quit, but you cannot quit because you realize you have not reached the goal yet. Day in and day out, you got to keep on working. And if you're getting knocked down, so what? Rise up and get up. Nobody's going to believe in you until you've already done it. Nobody's going to come and celebrate with you until you've already done, which means you're going to have to work for a long time by yourself, with no applause, with no award. No one's going to believe in you in the beginning, nor should they. Be okay with it. If I have to do it alone, I will start alone, but get started. It doesn't matter how hard you work. I'm willing to work harder than you. I know every ain't going to do what I'm going to do. I say level up, stop being average. When your potential is crying to come outside of be more than that, no one will outwork me. No one. It's so easy to be great nowadays, my friend, cause most people are weak. Most people don't want to go to that extra mile. Most people don't want to find that extra cause it sucks. Of course, talent without work is nothing. You got to be hungry. People that are hungry are willing to do the things today others won't do. There's no excuse not to be the hardest mothering worker in the room. You have to want music. I would rather tell the world what I've done than what I'm going to do. There's enough people talking. Just make the move, and don't talk until it's time for the checkmate. Move in silence. One of the most underrated superpowers on earth is moving in silence, thinking in silence, caucusing in silence, meditating, praying, working on your craft, doing the dark work behind the scenes where nobody can see. Nobody can congratulate you, nobody can affirm you, nobody can celebrate you. I'm doing this thing not to be celebrated, I'm doing this thing not to be noticed and acknowledged and supported. I'm doing this thing because if I don't do this, I'm not going to achieve what it is that I'm after. This is the power of moving in silence. If I'm going to move in silence, I've got to know how to plan in silence and think in silence and meditate and pray and put the work in behind the scenes. Nobody can see it but me. Every rising star that you see, every innovator and trailblazer and creator and philanthropist and minister and businessperson or athlete or entertainer, we see them at this height, but we don't see the work. You were not there when they cried and they bled and they sweat and they almost quit and they almost threw in the towel and they were left alone to continue the work, to pray, to believe, to think, to caucus, to plan it out and then execute and come back and shock everybody. I'm not going to say a word until I win. I'm not posting about it. I'm not trying to prep you. You don't need a trailer. I'm going to make an announcement that I won, not that I'm working, but I won. Checkmate, checkmate. Somebody shout checkmate. Somebody dropping in the comments checkmate. Move in music. Silence. Drop it in the comments. Checkmate, checkmate, checkmate. You talked about me. You doubted me. You deserted me. You left me for dead. Watch me checkmate. And I'm going to do it in silence. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say a word until I win. There are seasons in life where we get to that need to be played and lived out like a chess gate. Don't talk until it's time. A chess player does not talk until the time has come to the checkmate. Man, drop it in the checkmate, checkmate, checkmate. Stop talking about everything you go to do. Checkmate. Successful people have mastered the art of spending time alone. They understand the power and the leverage points. When I get time with myself and I get in my head and I get in my heart and I understand my behaviors and my belief systems and my parameters and what I need to do and how I need to sow and where I need to send my energy and how I need to execute in the day. They understand it's a superpower, but everybody doesn't need to know what you're doing, and this is why we have so many copycats and knockoffs and counterfeits and frauds, because you brought people along with you that were not in your inner circle along throughout your process while you were building it, instead of just revealing it after it was already done, because this is the type of season I'm about to step into. You talked about me, you doubted me, you deserted me, you left me for dead. Watch me checkmate, and I'ma do it in silence. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say a word until I win. Just show up and be finished with it. Stop telling the world every step of the process, and you haven't won yet. Win, 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 and after you win, then let them interview you, let the contracts drop on the table, let the documentary come out, but when without a word, and when you win. Checkmate, checkmate, checkmate. Understand your limitations. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Where are you losing? Where are you winning? How do you need to change your beliefs to align with the correct behaviors? What type of behaviors and parameters and values do you need to have established and hardwired within yourself? Who do I need to become to accomplish what it is I've been destined to do? When you spend that time alone and you can think and you can pray and you can meditate, and everybody's not in your mix, you're able to grow something that could leave a legacy and impact the lives of millions of people. Never underestimate the power of getting alone with yourself and getting dialed in with what you've been called to do, and then how you're going to go about doing it. Oftentimes we find the person who's living paycheck to paycheck doesn't want to think, they just want to work and get paid. It's the millionaires and billionaires and six-figure earners and networkers and busy bees and people that are out there shaking hands, stepping into rooms and arenas, us building products, creating opportunity, innovators, troublers. These are the people that have spent time alone thinking about what it is they've been called to do and how they're going to execute. They moved in silence, they thought alone, they prayed alone, just for a moment, just for a season. Nothing wrong with getting together with friends and family and having some a corporate construct, but there is an unfair advantage when I can get along with myself, and I can talk to myself in the here and tell myself, self, you got stuff to do, self, you have things to become, self, there are ways you have to go about this, and you need to be flexible, you need to be agile. Is God first in my house or nothing else? We start to establish our values and we start to understand ourselves and what makes us tick. Everybody doesn't need to know all the moving parts and the pain and the tears and the sacrifices that you have made. Just show up on stage and win, and after you win, then you can talk about how you want. And if your dream only requires you, then it's not big enough. It starts with you, but it doesn't end with you. Your team is coming. Drop it in the comments, man. My team is coming, but it starts with me. My team is coming, but it starts with me. My team is coming, but it starts with me. Today we got to ghost everyone, anyone that ever doubted us, anyone that ever lied to us and told us that they believe in our vision. We got to reset. We live in a culture of busyness, distraction, and noise, and sometimes the only way something's going to change is if we disappear. We got to focus on the reason why we started everything, why we woke up early in the morning to grind, while we cried those tears when we wanted the world to say yes, but everyone continued to say no. You see, you got to forget about the dollars. Can you unplug from people's ideas, from people's agendas, from people's viewpoints and perspective of you and life? Can you unplug, forget about the dollars that told you that you didn't have what it take to be the greatest? You got to reset. What if you could just shut out every distraction? What if you could just shut out the world for just a season and focus on you? You have to disappear and put the work in and come back and shock everybody that doubted you. You got to understand the power of being alone. Let's go back into the darkness where all the greatness was created, where all the motivation was created. Let's get back to the beginning, because only then will you hear the thoughts of the greats. We celebrate athletes, and we celebrate critical thinkers and innovators and actors, and we praise them and coin them our heroes, and we follow them by the millions. We love what they do in public, but you don't know the story behind the glory. You don't know the blood, the sweat. You didn't see the tears that they cried, the prayers that they prayed, the countless weeks where they went without sleep to get where they are. I'm just wondering if there's anybody here that is willing to go through the process in the dark room that prepares us and equips us for the stages of destiny. Rise, let's ghost everyone. You got to get back to that child that wanted to dream, that wanted to chase everything the world told him that he couldn't have. Yes, we got to reset. We're surrounded by the noise, we're surrounded by the social media, the Instagram, all of these things that give us no fulfillment, and the reason why you feel this way is because you've been surrounded by negativity. You've been surrounded by individuals that call themselves your friend, but in all reality they're just another energy drainer to just another person that wants to tell you that you cannot accomplish your dreams because they failed at every obstacle they ever tried to defeat. Let's go back into that hole. Let's go back into the darkness. Some of the most monumental and transformational portraits and pictures that we've ever seen were developed in the dark room. I'm talking to the I'm talking to that administrator. I'm talking to that nurse, that doctor. I'm talking to that student. I'm talking to that communicator. I'm talking to that pioneer, that inventor. I'm talking to that entrepreneur. I'm talking to that preacher. I'm talking to that person who refuses to stay where they are. I'm talking to that person that doesn't have a problem laying in obscurity, because you know that when you come out of the dark room, all eyes on music, You rise from that ghost state a new man and a new woman on its journey to greatness. Why are you here? What is your music? Destiny, I got a question. What will you do when no one is watching? What will you do when no one is listening? That's the only time that we'll be able to bring something to this world that had never seen before. One of the greatest challenging with disappearing is understanding the revelation of building in the dark. The secret of change is to focus all of our energy not on fighting the old, but building the new, and specifically behind closed doors when nobody's looking, when no one is there to affirm you, when nobody's there to validate you, when nobody is there to agree with you. You build in the dark, and you announce it. When it's finished, let me tell you, you go to fight until you can't fight no more, and when you can't fight anymore, you go to lay down and bleed a while, and then you go to get up and fight some more. Sometimes you have to fall back into the dark room and focus on you. There are too many people in your life who have left you. There are too many people in your life who have counted you out. There are too many people in your life who have whispered